I've been having some problems with performance on race day. When training, I have some really good numbers, but in race day, I'm nervous after a few minutes. My legs feel heavy, start feeling dizzy. And he says, although my watts aren't that much different to training, I race cross country and I'm a junior. Do you know why this happens and what I can do to mitigate it? So this is like, I thought that you'd be a great person to ask on this, Alex, because you've raced at world championships, right? So that's got to be like the pinnacle of it, and ton of nerves. Have you dealt with nerves
Oh,
at
for
all?
sure. Yeah. First hearing this for me, it sounds like a bit of race day anxiety mixed with like possibly specific training. I mean, I've definitely experienced both. We talked about the seated power. For me, that was a big thing for producing the same power in training as in racing. But also, I do a lot of my interval training on my mountain bike, even if it's on the road. Just the logic is, if I can put out the power on this bike, I can put out the power on this bike, right? Like you cut out any question on whether this power transfers from one bike to the other. But also, I feel like we tend to train a lot with music and other outside influences, and race day, it's someone else's pain train, right? Like if you go out to a workout and you're 5 minutes, and you're 4 minutes in and you're dying, you're like, well, I just got another minute. But if you're 4 minutes into like the start and you're looking up and this guy's setting the pace, you're like, when is this going to stop? So it's like, it's more outside controlled. And what I always do in those kind of situations is like, if I'm taxed, it's kind of like remembering what I was feeling during those intervals, like, and telling myself I can hurt more than this. I've hurt more than this, like, kind of thing. It's more just because you're not in control.
Mm. Yeah,
This
that's
is
a
a
good
quick
point.
clip. That was good.
Yes.
That's so true. It's so true. I love that about not knowing when it's going to end, because that breaks people.
Totally.
You ever break people? Do you know, Alex, in a race, do you look at someone on a climb and be like, if I just push it a little bit harder, I'm going to break this person?
Yeah, I mean, you get certain cues, but it's never a foregone conclusion, right? Like breathing rate tends to be one, whether you drop them the lap before, kind of thing. Like there's definitely mind games involved, and when someone's chasing you, kind of up the pace just to make it feel like they're never going to catch you, kind of thing. There's definitely tactics involved, but I mean, it's a hard one to tell. Like there's the Chris Froome approach, which I take, which is like, it looks like you're always hurting. Like I always breathe quite loud and heavily just because I'm trying to focus on my breathing, but I'll do that both when I'm fresh and when I'm tired. So it's kind of like, and then there's the Nairo Quintana, right? Where it's like, he's just about to pop and he's got a straight poker face. So
are there any other mind games you play? Because that's super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple different tactics in terms of that. It's like, it tends to be the general advice of like, go to the front when you're tired and hide when you're feeling good, kind of thing. So it's like sometimes doing the opposite, because you never know where everybody else is at. So it's like, if you're super tired in a short track and it's 10 laps to go, it's like, maybe that's the time to take a flyer. Maybe they'll just let you go, kind of thing. So it's like kind of reverse psychology in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And and in those cases, if you get away with it, it's great. If you don't, you really pay for it. But when you go,
I mean, that was the conclusion to start with.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're not feeling good, you're going to get popped at some point anyway. So you might as well blow a match and just see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like that way of like, instead of getting 24th out of 50, like you're trying to get podium or you're like last place.
Yeah. The Ricky Bobby move.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, first year last. I did that at Short Track Nationals last year, actually, because we got to a point where they were just throttling and it was super hard. And I was in the box and I was like, I don't know how much longer I can handle this. And the pace eased up and I just tempoed my way just past the front, or like from the tail of the group up to the front of the group. And then I was like, well, I'm just going to give it a little bit of gas here. And it did start to stretch out the pack, but I was either going to finish really last or I was going to be close to last, I figured. So I figured it might as well, it was worth a shot. It did shell some folks. I think I ended up 6th, right? So not bad.
Way better than last.
Yeah, exactly. Better than last, right? And then also, there's one thing to be said for this too. Like, there's always like it's hard to say this because in all racing, there's an element of risk for sure. Even in a very calculated race, like a time trial, that's like a pan flat 40K TT, there's still risk because in the moment you have a game plan that you're probably sticking to, but you're probably going to make some sort of changes in that race, like small changes maybe, but there's always risk. And when you talk about mountain bike racing, where short track in particular, where it's very tactical, it's like a crit, but on bikes like that, there's a ton of risk involved. So you do have to kind of place bets at certain points. And I always get really frustrated with myself when I race a race and my performance is mediocre, but I didn't try something. Because you can tell when you're going to be mediocre, like, and you can tell when you're on a great day, and you can tell when it's just a meh day. And on those meh days, like, maybe it's worth it to just try something. At the very least, you may rest easier that night, knowing that you did try something. At least for me, that's how it works. You could say it's foolish, and maybe if I had held on, other people may have blown up, but it's I guess I'm not paid to race, so I can probably make those sort of gambles.
Yeah, but hindsight is 20/20, right? I mean, I think committing to a full effort is the only thing you can control. I mean, racing or training, right? Like, I think Amber has a similar quote to this, like, show up with curiosity. I say commit to pressing the lap button, like on intervals, like commit to starting that first interval and just see what happens. Like, leave a little room to surprise yourself. Like, for me, that Olda Honda second attempt was just like, Kate wanted to go for the QOM, and I paced her up, and then I was just like, I'll be right back, and just gave it a shot. Sometimes you've got more than you think you've got.
Yeah. On her Instagram, I saw you fly up. You just insane how fast you're going. Like, it looked like you were going like over 20 miles per hour at the end, sprinting up. You're very fast.
Yes.
I told Jonathan I got to work on my pacing strategy.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. If you can give it at the end of an effort like that, if you can wick it up a lot, then chances are you probably could have given it more earlier on. Save some time, huh?
If you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up.
If you didn't like this video, you can give it a thumbs down, but let us know what you would have done differently in the comments below.
If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you want to become a faster cyclist, check out TrainerRoad.com.
Do it.
If you think I have better hair than Jonathan, give it a thumbs up. If not, leave a comment.
My hair is better than his.